Frank Sinatra, a legendary singer, a person that anybody with a sound mind and a great taste in music would give anything to see perform. In the 1940s, he performed right here, in this parking lot. Well, it wasn't a parking lot back then. Back then, it was the Michigan Theater. Built in 1925 and boasting an impressive 4,038 seats, the building was unrivaled in its architecture and elegance. Designed by architects Cornelius W. and George L. Rapp, the Michigan Theater was some of their best work. Before the theater was built, Bagley Avenue had few buildings lining its street. Nothing really of note existed there, and the entire Michigan complex would help transform it. Henry Ford would create his very first engine right here. There was also a row of houses and a crematorium that all had to be demolished to build the illustrious Michigan building and its theater. The theater would be ran by a man named John H. Kunske. Sometime after, he would become a theater tycoon, so to speak. The theater opened on August 23, 1926. The very first film to be shown was You Never Know Women, starring Florence Vidor. It is not merely a theater for Detroit, it is a theater for the whole world. It is designed to be the great showplace of the Middle West. This is a direct quote from Klunsky during an interview with the Detroiter in 1926. The Free Press, the Detroiter, and many other newspapers loved the theater. It was a beautiful place where many thousands Detroit denizens would form wonderful memories. The lobby had marble archways, beautiful columns, red velvet hanging from the ceiling, crystal cylinders. At the far end was a staircase lavishly decorated with red carpet. The walls were covered in oil paintings, and a grand piano played while guests mingled waiting for their movie to start. Statues, busts, and sculptures lined the staircases. It was the kind of place you'd take your Friday night date if you wanted to impress her, or rekindle your marriage. But now, it's nothing more than an asphalt floor and an elegant ceiling. Inside the main auditorium, a symphony played during the silent films. Conductor Edward Werner's Michigan Symphony would play during the shows. The theater had 5 shows every day. A typical ticket could cost from 25 cents to 75 cents, and was always filled to capacity. And the band would play right down there. That ladder still leads up to the rafters. When the Great Depression hit, Klunsky lost most of his theaters. With no one to fund and maintain the theater, the United Detroit's Theater Company would buy the Michigan. In the 1950s, the theater would go under massive changes. A widescreen was installed, and the Michigan became one of only 13 theaters playing 3D movies in 1953. It seemed like the theater was starting to make a comeback, but it wouldn't. Something was growing on the horizon that would cause hundreds of theaters across the country to close. The CRTV. With the rise of television, many lavish theaters would close. In the 1960s, the Michigan would be among them. It would sell for $1.5 million, or $10 million today. The new owners cared only for the building itself, not the theater. In 1967, the theater would premiere its final show. Only 400 audience members would show up to view The Spy with a Cold Nose. The theater was going to be demolished by the city until a man named Nicholas George tried to revive it, but ultimately his attempt would be unsuccessful. In June of 1971, its doors would close permanently. The art and lights would be donated to the Detroit Institute of Arts, although much of it would be stolen or just simply disappear. The original sheet music written for the show was just thrown in the garbage by a professor at the Wayne State University. The Michigan would change hands over the coming years. It would become a club called the Michigan Palace, a concert venue, then finally, a parking lot. During its time as a concert venue, much of the theater would be vandalized. The owners of the Michigan building wanted to demolish the whole theater outright, but they couldn't do that without damaging the infrastructure of the Michigan theater itself. So instead, their solution was to turn it into a parking lot. They destroyed much of the beauty of the theater in order to create a parking space for people who are working in the building. Now, all that's left is some of the architecture and some of the wall art. This is a very old elevator. The shaft is still there. Look at that. That sink is also an original, I think.
Oh my god, Caleb.
Yeah.
Tell me from the original design. That's a modern day flash light. Oh, that's a modern day bulb. Yeah.
Wow.
Swirly ones that
The theater was more than high class. It was the highest class meant for everyone. It was a Friday night out. It was the Michigan Theater, and its story has now been told.
Oh, really?
Move here. We are asserting dominance.